Remember when we used to hop on our bikes and be gone for an entire Saturday outside with our friends? My best friend Lonnie, who is still so dear to me, being outside. I have found that one of the ways that I do that is I love to take walks outside, and especially here, for those of you who have not been to Oregon in the spring, you want to put that on your bucket list. It is so beautiful, isn't it? Everything in bloom and all of the shades of green. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I walk near our place, and there are trails, and it's just such a beautiful time for me to kind of be reminded by Mother Nature, our interconnectedness, the ways in which we are all connected. Mother Nature reminds me of that. And I was on my walk actually yesterday, and I was taking in all the beauty and the oneness and feeling into this connection with all that is. And I have to tell you, then a few thoughts popped up. A few thoughts popped up about things that happened this week that felt so opposite of the connection, watching a woman like Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson be so viciously attacked in such a racist way in her confirmation hearings to sit on the highest court in our land. That felt disconnected from the unity of all things. The draconian ban on gender-affirming health care for trans youth and the anti-LGBTQIA plus legislation that seems to be cropping up in so many places, that felt disconnected to the oneness that I was experiencing. And so as I was on my walk, I will share with you what I do when these thoughts pop up as I bring it back to my breath. I bring it back to the breath. The one breath that we all share, the one breath that we share with creation, with each other, with our siblings across the world. I bring it back to the breath, each step at a time. I'm going to teach some of these practices in my meditation retreat that's coming up. A reminder for those of you who want to do that, the cutoff for registration is today. So I go back to my spiritual practices, and it's not always easy, Spiritual practice has the word practice in it. It takes practice, right? And so I'm breathing, and I'm silently, as I'm walking, breathing, I'm just affirming, and I'm knowing the truth, and the thoughts are popping up, and I'm going back to the breath and affirming the oneness, and I'm speaking silently as I do to spirit, with spirit. Teach me, show me this oneness. Remind me of this oneness, God. Remind me of the interconnection amidst all of this divisiveness right now. Remind me. And I looked up, and there it was. So, this July, I will have been in this position, in this job for 3 years. Can you believe that? 3 years this summer. Thank you, sweetheart. 3 years. Well, I have to tell you, I have been walking. I walk, a lot, and there's this one particular path that I go, and the whole time I have walked, there has been a house that has been under construction. And it sort of started to be a little bit of a running joke for me, like, is it still going to be under construction? Well, there it is. It sure is. And blessing it as I would pass. And one of the things that was so interesting about this house that drew me in, first of all, it's on a corner lot. So it's got all this space, and it had all kinds of trucks and gravel and all the things. And I would say 7 times out of 10, because I like to walk in the early evening, 7 times out of 10, this lovely couple would be sitting out in their front yard in the middle of all of this, sort of with the makeshift table and little plastic chairs, and they would be having their supper, or they would be sitting out there, and they would be greeting passersby. They would be in the front yard, and with the most friendly, kind, and there were times where I knew that they were meeting people for the first time. You could feel that energy, and through masks or what have you. For a period of time, they would be kind of in where their yard was, and the people would be on the street, and now how many kids do you have? And da-da-da, it was really sweet. Lovely people. Well, I'm having this experience on my walk. I'm doing my best to remember the oneness. I'm praying, affirming oneness, and I see their house, and the remodel is complete. Now, I want you to imagine something. I want you to think about the most beautiful backyard deck you could imagine, right? Just like one step up, wooden, with sort of built-in seating, a huge table with a big umbrella, gorgeous, barbecue and beautiful sort of conversational area with a fire pit and beautiful, colorful cushions. I mean, gorgeous. Plants, beautiful. Sliding glass door. They put that backyard deck in their front yard. What? I've never seen anything like this. I stood there, and you can hardly see their front door because it's a sliding glass door, and literally this deck goes out to like halfway to the end of their lawn. It's that big. And on the side, it's a corner lot, and on the side there's like an area for like volleyball and beautiful flower beds. It looks like a park, really, is what it looks like. It's their front yard. Exactly, oh my goodness. I stood there, and for a second I was like, what is that? What is that? I mean, that is really flipping the bird at convention. Right? And then I got tears in my eyes. And I went, oh, that's the answered prayer. That's the demonstration. That's Spirit saying, we can do this. There are people who are reaching out to create community in this kind of way. That was the demonstration of our connection. That was the demonstration for me in that moment, that despite all of it, the divine promise for all of us is that we are a part of community, and we have an opportunity to extend ourselves, our hearts, our welcomes to everyone. Back deck in the front yard. How cool is that? How cool is that? Yeah. Margaret Wheatley wrote, "Our seemingly separate lives become meaningful as we discover how truly necessary we are to each other." How truly necessary we are to each other. And the sooner that we understand this, the sooner we will have peace in our lifetime. Because we, my friends, we are pack animals, you and I. We are an interdependent species. Species cannot live alone. All life needs other life to survive. We see that in Mother Nature. We see that all the way down to the microorganisms, even microbes, which are 1/10 the size of a human cell, live in what scientists call communities. Microbes live in dense and diverse communities in order to survive. They rely on one another because the vast majority of microbes cannot produce all the nutrients that they require just for themselves. My talk today is called The Divine Promise. Together we thrive. Together we thrive. I think over the past 2 years, we have learned this in the most profound way. That the only way to truly thrive is if we do it together. We were isolated, we were apart, and even for the most introverted among us, it was unnatural, and it was so sad. We are here at this time on earth to be together and to care for each other together. Are you with me? Yes. So there's a teaching in the Talmud. When you save a life, you save the entire world. And I remember when I first heard that, when I first heard that teaching many, 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 many years ago, I was young, and I thought, well, that certainly doesn't apply to me. I don't work in an operating room. I don't have someone's life in my hands, right? I didn't really understand it. And then I lived a little bit of life. And then about 10 years ago or so, I was in our lobby, and a gentleman came up to me after service, and I could tell he was trembling with emotion, and he was nervous to speak to me. And as he began speaking, he introduced himself, his eyes filled up with tears, and he said, "You know what, I just want you to know something. Over a year ago, a while ago, I walked into these front doors with the thought in my mind that I wasn't sure that I wanted to live." And he's standing in front of me, and tears are streaming down his face. And he said, "I want to thank you for this place. I want to thank you for this community," he said to me, "because this community, this place, this message gave me hope." Yeah. It gave me hope, he said. When he was sharing with me the kindness that he experienced here, and that he left with this glimmer of hope which grew, and then he got help. And our message of unconditional love was transformational for him. And what I can tell you is he is not the first person who has had that experience here or anywhere in any place where two or more are gathered. You never know, my friends, how your kindness or even how your presence will make a huge difference in someone's life. And this has a huge ripple effect, a huge ripple effect. Our hello can save someone's life. Speaking of this ripple effect, I wanted to share with you, this is our last week of Women's History Month. In 1945, an all-black Women's Army Corps unit made up of 880 women, nicknamed the 688, was the only all-black, all-female battalion to serve overseas during World War II. These women survived, you can see them there, they survived a rocket explosion and Nazi U-boat encounters. They were tasked with overcoming a massive backlog of all things of mail. These women went overseas and sorted millions of pieces of mail during World War II. They spent months in unheated warehouses sorting through packages and clearing a 6-month stockpile in just half the time. Their motto was, "No mail, low morale." The U.S. military was segregated at the time, and the women of the 688 endured racism and cruelty despite their incredibly valuable service to this country. And I am so happy to share with you that this month, after 8 decades, these brave women are finally being recognized and awarded with the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest congressional honor. Yeah. Colonel Edna W. Cummings said, "Their service will never be forgotten as soldiers and trailblazers for gender and racial equality." And this story made me think. It made me think about the difference that they made, that I'm sure they didn't even probably necessarily know. When you save a life, you save the world. Can you imagine the soldiers at that time receiving one piece of mail, that piece of mail from their loved one that gave them hope, that helped them continue on, What a difference they made for all of those soldiers. His Holiness the Dalai Lama wrote, "It is because our own human existence is so dependent on the help of others that our need for love lies at the very foundation of our existence." Our need for love lies at the very foundation of our existence. The greatest call for every single one of us is to, as it says in the Christian Bible, love one another. And this concept, this teaching is found across all the major faith traditions: Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, Sikhism, the Baha'i faith, Buddhism. Love one another. That's it, my friends. I believe that is a huge, if not the biggest reason we have all incarnated here at this time, to love one another. And one of the greatest ways that we can do that we can love one another, is to be of service to one another. To be of service, to help one another. When we help or we support another human being in whatever way, big or small, if that is simply showing up, being undefended with kindness, or saying hello as someone walks into the building, or a loving hello in the chat box as our beloved online community joins the service. Whatever that is, when we commit to being awake enough to do our part, to be love in the world, when we metaphorically move the back deck to the front yard, we are being love in the world. Yes? Yes. Yes. This is our true nature. This is who we are. This is who we really are. Despite all the divisiveness, this is who we are. The poet Nikita Gill wrote, "Kindness is the greatest endangered thing, and here you are, existing, your heart so full with it." Kindness is the greatest endangered thing, and here you are existing, your heart so full with it. For those of you who might not know, I have a background in social justice and peace building work. That is really the foundation of my life's work and the ground of my ministry here at New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. And it was inspired by the life and the example that my parents led and continue to lead. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. And as such, my mom has many friends all over the world, activists all over the world. And I met a gentleman who actually is a diplomat in Ireland. And I became aware of his work through his relationship online with my mom and all the great things he's doing in the world. He actually just took a convoy to Turkey to work for peace in Ukraine. And he has actually been working in humanitarian efforts in Ukraine from Ireland and for many years. And so, of course, when the invasion happened, he kicked into high gear. And I received an email from him, and he let me know that his focus of work was on helping to get the humanitarian aid workers who, to use his phrase, are on a kill list, out of Ukraine and to safety. There's a very specific group of people that he and his organization, through diplomatic efforts in Ireland, are trying to get to safety, that he's been working with for many years. And he emailed me and he let me know of two women, Irina and Yevgenia, and each of them have a daughter who are 4 and 6 years old. And he said that he was trying to get them out, and he was able to arrange through diplomatic channels a place in Ireland for housing and for food that could guarantee their safety. But all they needed were the airline tickets. If these women and their daughters could make it to Poland, to make it to Warsaw, Poland, to get there through the country safely and get to Poland, and they could get airline tickets, they could get them to safety. And so he asked if our faith community would be willing to sponsor their plane tickets. Now, Ryanair and many of the airlines over there have lowered the prices of their tickets to try to help refugees. And for 4 of the tickets, it was like $700. I mean, that, and to get from Poland to Dublin, that was quite a discount. So, so I finished reading the email, and he sends me their pictures. And I immediately pick up the phone and I call Reverend Sally. Reverend Sally is our minister emerita, and she is the director of our circulation team. We have beautiful people on our circulation team, our tithing team. And everything that you give here, 10% of that goes to organizations that are living our values out in the world. And I called her and I got about 2 sentences out about these women and their daughters and trying to get to, we didn't know if they were going to even get there, but trying to get there. And she said, do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. I know my team. I know that they would want this. I know that our community would want to sponsor these families. And because he said, look, if your community says yes, if you can just buy the tickets, buy the insurance, because they might not make it. But if you can buy the tickets, they will go to the airport and pick them up there. So Reverend Sally says yes. I call B, our finance manager. I get barely 2 sentences out. She says, I'm on it. She's on the phone for over 3 hours trying to get tickets. Every time she would look up and get tickets, they would be sold. They were going so quickly. We even got a confirmation, and we lost it because there's such a great need. And then she got the tickets. Thank you, B. And then my next thing that I did was I emailed the practitioners. And I said, please pray for these women and their daughters to get them to the border. Well, they made it. They made it to Poland. They made it, and they sent a video, and I want to share that with you now.
Thank you very much for your support, for your actions, actually, for your invitation. And it's a great pleasure for us to feel that they are part of Europe. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. And now we have a chance to save our life, and our husband stayed in Ukraine to fight for our independence, for our freedom. And I know that Europe and Ireland and all the world is standing with Ukraine. Sorry for my English. My voice is shaking and my hands are shaking, but I still can't believe that we are safe. We came to Poland yesterday or the day before, and there is so much love and support from everywhere, from every person in Poland. We have now a safe place to stay, to sleep, before we will have a flight to Dublin. And also huge hugs and thank yous, 1,000 thank yous for you who helped us to get the tickets to Ryanair's flight to Dublin. Thank you so much. It's like a dream. My children, my daughter and her friend. Here is my daughter, and here is her friend, and they are playing now. They don't know nothing about the war, and it's very, very important. I don't know how to say more thanks, and to be more thankful. We will come to Ireland in a few days, and I will hug everyone. Just thank you for saving our lives. When you're saving one life, you're saving the world. Just thank you. I will start to cry. I will try not to cry, but guys, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Your love makes a difference. Small ways, big ways, your love, your kindness, your compassion, your dedication to living our values out in the world makes a difference. And we all get to be a part of this ripple effect of good in the world. That is what we are up to here, each one of us individually and collectively. So let's go out into our week. Let's love more, my friends. Let's love more.